Hi everyone, welcome to the Rugby League History channel. Tonight's video is going to be the top 5 current championship droughts in the Super League. We all know the likes of St Helens, Wigan, Bradford and Leeds have all won the Super League, but there's some clubs in the Super League that are competing at the moment that haven't won the championship in a very long time, and I'm going to be doing the top 5 droughts tonight. Before I start the list though, there's a bit of a disclaimer, which is I'm aware that some of the clubs on this list have won what was called the Premiership Final. If you don't know what the Premiership Final was, between 1973 to 1995, the Rugby Football League had this thing called the Premiership Final, or Premiership, where after the regular season was done and the champions were declared, they had a competition after that where the top 6 to 8 sides that finish in the league would compete in a knockout competition, and the 2 remaining teams would compete in a thing called the Premiership Final. Of course, the Premiership was not considered as prestigious as the Championship, so even though some of these teams on this list have won the Premiership, it hasn't been counted towards the Championship. I know that sounds very confusing, but there was a couple of articles that I could post in the link which will give you a better idea of what it was about. So coming in at number 5 on this list is Hull FC. The last time that they won the championship was in 1983, which was 39 years ago, where they finished just ahead of their crosstown rivals Hull Kingston Rovers. The last time that Hull FC actually appeared in a grand final for the championship/Super League was in 2006, where they lost 26 points to 4 against St Helens. Of course, in between that, Hull FC have won the Challenge Cup, and they also have won the Premiership Final, where they defeated Widnes in the final. That was back in 1991. But besides that, Hull FC do have a pretty proud history. They've won 6 championships. They've also won the Challenge Cup a couple of times. But in terms of another championship, they've had to wait 39 years and counting for that championship. Will their championship drought be broken anytime soon? I'm not too sure. 2020, Hull FC looked like they were going in the right direction. They made the semi-final of the Super League series there, 1 game short of the grand final. And then this year they were expected to once again make the playoffs and do something, but they missed the playoffs altogether. And this year, it's anyone's guess to see if they will make the playoffs, but I think that championship/Super League grand final victory is well away at the moment. Coming in at number 4 on this list is Nick from Australia's team, Salford. Currently, it's been 46 years since their last championship, which was in 1976. It's been a very long wait for any sort of silverware for Salford. Historically, they're quite a successful club. They've won the championship 6 times. They've also won the Challenge Cup. But the last 40 years or so have been pretty tough, albeit in the last couple of years, things have looked on the up. Occasionally, 2019, they made the grand final against St Helens, but they went down there. They weren't favourites to win. They were the outsider in that match. And then the year later, they made the Challenge Cup final against Leeds. Will Salford break their championship drought anytime soon? I don't really see it happening. It seemed like after 2019 and 2020 that Salford were going in the right direction, but they had an awful year this year. And if it wasn't for Lee, they could have possibly been relegated. So I think next year it's going to be more about avoiding relegation than anything else for Salford. Coming in at number 3 on this list is Wakefield Trinity. It's been a very long time since Wakefield's won anything or done anything of note. It's 54 years currently since their last championship triumph, which was in 1968. And since then, they've made no finals in anything. Not even the Premiership Final, no Challenge Cup finals, nothing. And these days, it seems with Wakefield Trinity that it's more about avoiding relegation and trying to possibly get a playoff place than anything else. They've never really looked like breaking their championship drought at any stage since 1968. And I think for most Wakefield fans, a good season for them these days is just, oh well, we avoided relegation, that's good enough for us. But 1968 is their last championship triumph, and that's 54 years. Coming in at number 2 on this list is Huddersfield, the birthplace of rugby league. They're currently in a 60-year championship drought, which their last championship was in 1962. Historically, Huddersfield are a quite successful club, 7 championships that they've won, 6 Challenge Cups, but they haven't won a championship since 1962. They have made a couple of Challenge Cup finals in between then, which they also lost. They've made no grand finals since that 1962 triumph. They did win the League Leaders' Shield in 2013, the first time that Huddersfield had finished top in 81 year. But they never really went on with it that year, even though they had a really good season. They fell short in the playoffs. Will Huddersfield ever break their championship drought? I don't see it happening anytime soon, like a lot of other clubs on this list. Huddersfield have had a tough time over the last couple of decades overall, and they haven't really recovered since that glory period of the early days in the club's existence. So I'm not too sure when their championship drought's going to end. This season was very disappointing for Huddersfield. A lot was expected of them and they didn't really deliver. But for next year, they've bought some players, they've invested, and for their sake, they hope that they can turn it around. But in my own opinion, I don't really see them winning a Super League grand final anytime soon. And coming first on this list tonight is Warrington. 67 years it's been since their last championship victory, which is in 1955. The club's fared a lot better in the Challenge Cup, where they've won that 9 times, but in terms of championships/Super Leagues, they've only won 3 of those, and their last one was in 1955. They have won 2 Premiership finals in 1974 and 1986, but as in terms of championship/Super League, Warrington's been the bridesmaid on quite a few occasions. They've been runners-up 7 times since 1955, and in the Super League era, they've made the grand final in 2012, 2013, 2016 and 2018, and they finished runners-up in each of those years. I think one thing that makes Warrington different to these other clubs is with Salford, Wakefield and Huddersfield, if you support those clubs, you kind of know where you stand. Like if you're a Salford or a Wakefield fan, you might go, oh well, if we avoid relegation and we have a bit of a decent run, and if we make the playoffs, that will be a good year. And I guess that's probably the same for Huddersfield fans. But with Warrington, every year there's always this big song and dance, and there's a lot of noise and a lot of excitement about Warrington and what can they do this year, and is it finally their year? And they always seem to recruit some sort of big name or some good players, but for whatever reason it just never seems to work out. And especially the last 2 years, they've gone out at the first stage of the playoff series when they were actually expected to possibly make the Super League grand final or potentially even win it. So Warrington, I think, would be very frustrating to support, because they're one of those clubs where they get your hopes up every year and you think that things are finally going to go right and you're going to win the Super League, and in the end things don't end up that way and you end up more disappointed than the year before. But Warrington have a 67-year championship drought. Out of all the clubs on this list, I think that they're the only ones that could realistically break that championship drought. I think one day Warrington will eventually win the Super League. I don't know when, but it will happen. It all comes back to the law of averages. It's the same as how people say Parramatta's never going to win another grand final. People used to say that about South Sydney. People used to say that about Cronulla, and they both won it. And the longer you're in a competition, the more chance you got of winning it. So if you're a Warrington fan listening to this, I think eventually one day you will win the Super League grand final, but will you win it anytime soon? I'm not too sure at the moment. So that concludes my video that I'm doing tonight, which was the top 5 current championship droughts in the Super League. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts. Who do you think is going to break their championship droughts? Who do you think is going to continue to not win the Super League or continue to extend that drought? You let me know in the comment section below. Anyways, this is Rugby League History signing off. And I'll catch us all later in the next video, which should be out early next week. Anyways, tatty bye for now.